How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and today we have a review to do for a black metal band out of Spain. Now, I will be reviewing the EP Selenophile Impia by Ouija. They released this April 27th of 2021, so this year. But before this, they also have a couple of releases, one being in 2013, their second album, Av Voluptatis Carnis. Before that, they released an EP in 2010 called Adversary, and prior to that, they have their debut album in 1997, Riding into Funeral Paths. So if you like this EP, they have a few things to go back and check out. So let's start off with the current band members. First, we have Midgard on vocals, Map on guitars, and JM101 also on guitars, Shogoth on bass, and Labellua on drums. Alright, so let's talk about the vocals. They were mixed well, they had a good EQ, and a nice balance in the speakers. The style was mid-range to semi-low, airy, raspy growls, maybe the Glenn Benton of black metal, if you will. They were pretty consistent overall, had an enjoyable style, not your typical black metal vocals, and the third track had some aggressive starling type shouting or evil cult speech. As for the guitars, also nicely mixed, well balanced, had an eerie dark tone, slightly on the warmer side for black metal, and a surprising amount of groove and hooks, which drew me in instantly because that's what I love to hear in black metal, not just your typical tremolos for days, blast beats, and tinny sound. So this, coupled with your usual tremolos, atmospheric riffs, and semi-chaotic melodies, was a pleasant surprise, and they also sprinkled in some really cool finger tapping for good measure. So all in all, I'd say the guitarists definitely have great creativity and energy going on this EP. Good job. Alright, as for the bass, however, as you'd expect for black metal, it was mixed a little quietly in the production, so I couldn't quite pick it out from the guitars and the drums and everything else going on. But the general sound and mix of this EP wasn't missing any low end, however. This isn't your usual frosty necro black metal release with thin production and cranked treble. So we'll move on to the drums now. Also, great mix, good balance and EQ, on par with the guitars and volume. I found that they were well timed, the pacing and execution was definitely on point. This drummer had fills galore to offer, fantastic composition in general, never got stale or too repetitive, blasted when they needed to, and flowed gracefully when it called for it. Great double kicks and a decent snare tone, very enjoyable. Let's move on to some of my favorite tracks. Alright, so being that there are only 3 tracks on this EP, however the songs range from anywhere 5 to 7 minutes in length, they did give you quite a bit to work with in terms of material. I found that the first and second track, being Selenophile Impia, the title track, and Kerberos Like Hell Dogs, were probably the most standout tracks and filled with the most enjoyable, groovy, memorable riffs. Therianthropic Involution, the third track, was good too, it just didn't stand out quite as much to me when it came to memorable riffs or hooks and grooves that really sunk into you. So what are my overall thoughts on this EP? I'd say, again, it's just an unexpectedly groovy and infectious release. Lots of variety and catchiness per track, makes me want more. Luckily, they have a handful of previous releases to dive into and check out. So I'd say Selenophile Impia definitely solidifies future interest for Ouija of Spain. Any weaknesses or improvements? Not really, except maybe that the bass could be more recognizable. However, it is black metal, so we can let that fly. As for the vocals, maybe more highs in the vocal range. Again, this was more of just a mid to slightly deeper range for black metal vocals, a little airy, a little growly, and that brings me to another point. Maybe in the future these vocals could be slightly more refined and a little less airy sounding, a little more solid and a little bit more aggressive, but that being said, they were still enjoyable vocals, not too much to complain about. And with that being said, I'm going to have to give this a solid 8.8 out of 10, or a cheeky 88 out of 100% for this album. Good job, Ouija. Excellent release. Definitely recommend everyone go check out their previous stuff as well. I'm Jesse Morgan, and I would buy this EP. Cheers, and thanks for watching. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slammerella out.